Valorant's on fire again! Yippee! Yippee! Valorant's on fire because guess what's happening? Evil geniuses have allowed their players to explore their options this offseason. If they decide to stay with the organization, there will be pay cuts per purist. And this is happening across the entire Valorant scene. But in this video today, we are going to focus particularly on EG. So, for those of you who don't know, salaries across Valorant, particularly in North America, were apparently very, very high. Too high, apparently. And for those of you wondering, EG reportedly, the players were on $25K a month, about $300,000 a year. And that was not the highest, or anywhere near the highest, as far as other reporting goes. But that's what the EG players were roughly on about. Now, obviously, between the 5 players, that's about $1.5 million a year that they were spending on their Valorant roster. And then obviously add on to that, their coaching staff. And EG obviously had a reserve roster as well, who was not making, nearly as much, but, was still making at least the league minimum, which was, $50K a year. Add in the fact that they had to provide housing for the players as well. And, you really start to build up quite a cost here, probably somewhere in the $2 to $2.5, million range, I would guess, for, the kind of EG Valorant team this year. And so it makes sense that orgs, even like EG, who won champions, would want to reduce the cost of their team. I think we can all agree that probably makes a lot of sense. But the thing is, I'm annoyed because this is obviously what is now happening. This is Flynn's spreadsheet, most recent one. And you can see that all of EG, all of their players here are, unlikely to be with EG, next year. Which makes sense. And Boostio apparently is already kind of gone. There's been heavy rumors and links that Boostio is pretty much a guarantee to sign with 100 Thieves. So yeah. It's already happened. It's already gone. There is no hope for this team sticking together. They're already on their way out. But whilst EG were losing a lot of money from their Valorant roster, they were also making some, right? For instance, they got a cool 1 mil from winning champs, just straight into their pocket from Riot. They also got 200,000 from finishing second in Masters Tokyo as well. And with some of the Americas finishes and lock-in, about overall in terms of prize pool money, EG made about 1.25 million in terms of just their prize pool money. Now, they also got money from the champion skin bundle, of course, which reportedly generated 40 million US dollars, which half of it went to the teams, then split between 16 teams, means that they made roughly $1.25 million from the champ skin as well. So obviously together, that's about $2.5 million. And then finally, obviously, they got money from Riot as well. They get a stipend for just being in the Tier 1 League, being in the Americas League, which reportedly is anywhere from 600K to as high as 1.5 million if certain deliverables are met. Let's assume, because it's EG, that they got the minimum. But, adding that on to our 2.5 already, that means we're on $3.1 million that, basically this team made. And with this 3.1 million, you do have to remember that it's possible that the players negotiated for some of the skin sale revenue or some of the prize pool revenue. It's possible they did get some of that themselves, the players. Obviously we don't know how much that would be, so this number might be a bit lower, but still you can still see it's gonna be a significant amount of money that the team brought into EG as well. But in cutting their roster, whilst obviously that is going to save them some of that money, it's also potentially going to cost them some money as well, right? Because being the champions of Valorant probably makes you more attractive to, sponsorships and partners with, other companies and whatever. Because, hey, you're the champions. People are going to be more likely to watch you next year to see how that plays out. Well, now you've got your roster, no one cares, right? Because the players who won the tournament aren't there anymore. So yeah, no one's gonna do that, right? It doesn't matter anymore. So you're probably not gonna be as attractive to partners. Obviously, merch. Hey, look, who's this here that you're using to advertise your championship jersey? Oh, look, it's Ethan. Will he be playing for EG next year? Who knows? Probably not, right? Oh, look, this jersey, I would say, goes pretty hard. You know what? If I was EG, maybe make the logo gold, as well. They'll, do a little special championship jersey. They're probably not smart enough to do that, but, it's like, pretty easy, obvious thing to do. And hey, I'm sure that this would sell more than probably any other jersey they've ever made. And then as we go into next year, of course, EG, if they did keep the roster together, would likely be favorites for, you know, at least definitely the first part of the season and, you know, win any prize money associated with maybe winning some of those tournaments or at least going far in those tournaments. And then, oh yeah, champ skin is still probably going to happen next year, right? And so you'd have to assume that EG, especially early on in the year, as I said, would likely to be, you know, definitely up there in terms of teams. I can't really think of many reasons why they wouldn't be, particularly early on in the year. And so they'd probably be likely to qualify for champs as well, you know, and you'll also get that skin revenue that you did this year, but now that you're cutting your whole team and starting again and everyone knows that you're a terrible org and probably doesn't want to sign with you, you know, well, you're probably not going to make champs next year, and so that revenue is going to disappear as well. And then there's also this as well that we know is coming. This was in Leo's tweet about the guard and when they initially kept them out, and he was talking about the difference between the Ascension teams and the you know, non-Ascension teams, the kind of partnered teams. And he said that the only difference is really that they're going to get a team-branded gun skin, which means there will be an EG team-branded gun skin in the game. And again, if I was EG, I'd just be telling Riot, hey, EG, can you put a gold logo on our team skin, you know, because we won champs, you know, that'll probably sell better if you do that. And Riot will probably go, yeah, that probably will sell better if we do that. And we're Riot, and, you know, we do this to make money. So, yeah, sure, we'll give you a gold logo on your team skin, and that can kind of be a thing going forward, you know, for whoever wins champs each year. That makes a lot of sense. And you would suppose that the teams, you know, will get a split of the, you know, revenue of how well their gun skin sells in the game. Well, no one's going to buy the EG skin anymore, but I would have bet, you know, quite a few people would have bought it, you know, particularly if they started off next year well, which I'm assuming that these team-branded gun skins will, you know, probably come out at the start of next VCT year. You know, I assume that that would have done, you know, pretty well. But now it's not going to, right? So that's, again, probably a lot of revenue that, you know, they would have otherwise made, particularly, as I said, if they could be smart enough to, you know, propose to Riot to make it a bit different to everyone else's gun skin. You know, it's not going to be there anymore. And so, yeah, they are going to make, you know, save money by, you know, getting rid of these players. But it's also going to cost them as well in some of these ways, you know, if things don't go as well. And so, look, I'm sure there's some EG accountant out there who's ran through all the numbers and ran through all the little scenarios and has gone, guys, this makes financial sense to get rid of these players or at least have them on severely reduced salaries. I'm sure that, you know, from the financial side, that probably is the case. But as I've just shown you, there are some drawbacks to this as well in terms of revenue that they can actually make next year, where they're probably going to miss out on a lot of revenue because of this decision as well. And then you also have to think about the long-term impacts. EG are an org that not a lot of people liked anyway before, and this was kind of a golden ticket for them to kind of rewrite the history books, right? Give themselves a new lick of paint, right? Post over everything else and have this be kind of, you know, the new EG. This is the EG that you think of, is this team, and, you know, we're good at Valorant, and hey, everyone likes us, and we, you know, have personalities in the team and all of that, and we would have gained a lot of fans from doing this, right? Which, again, has a long-term impact if people are interested in your organization, right? In terms of sponsorship, in terms of, you know, sales of, you know, anything you make, any merch or anything like that, you know, that has long-term impact from potentially, you know, keeping this roster together. And instead, they do the most EG thing possible and disappoint everyone again, right? There's a reason that there's the meme about EG only having 10 fans. It's for decisions like this. And that's just always going to be the case if they do stuff like this, right? And so, yes, does it probably make sense from a financial perspective? Yeah, probably, right? Do I care? No.